I figured I'd at least come in here and try to cover some pick slanting things as was requested last time. And talk about some ideas and licks that can help get you around the inevitable difficulty changing between the strings when you're alternate picking. So I'm just going to play for a little bit until somebody pops in and says something to me. If I can stop doing the same thing. I keep wanting to do this. I like this lick. You kind of, I guess you're doing like a, let me think what I'm doing there actually. I guess it's like major 5. Instead of playing it dominant, you're just doing the triad to 6. It's kind of like something like that, I guess, right? Like I'm doing like a, kind of like that, right? Alright, we'll give it another minute or so, see if anybody wants to trickle in. If not, I'm going to go ahead and get started. This room really shows off this this bird's eye maple, this roasted bird's eye maple. I've been obsessed with my other guitar. So I sold 2 of my Ibanez's and got another Kiesel, and I'm over the moon about it. It's really basic. It's 22 frets and the most basic construction of a Strat that you could get, except for its Kiesel quality. Stainless steel frets, locking tuners, a really good bridge, which the saddles, I don't know if you guys were here for the last live stream, you saw that I broke a string as I was going through different tunings, and I think the saddles are starting to get a couple burrs, but nothing that a light file won't take care of. This weekend I'll get this taken care of. But I'm also, the main reason why I haven't been playing it quite as much as I normally would with a new guitar like that is because I'm not a huge fan of the pickups. Mostly because the neck pickup is not hum canceling. So sitting in front of my computer trying to record or trying to do streams or something like that, it just is not is not great. Just constant buzz all the time. Which the tone's not bad, and I've been using my angle more and more because of how good. I really can't wait to get that thing with a legit single coil in there. But I want to put, same thing I have in the middle here, I want to put in the neck and middle of that guitar, Area 68. I think that's the best single coil pickup that DiMarzio does. The best single coil pickup period, in my opinion. But I'm thinking about doing a PAF Pro in the bridge of that one to keep it kind of classic sounding and not too high output. I think a tone zone might be too much. That's what I have in here is a tone zone. But I might do a PAF Pro in that one. But as soon as that gets done, it's going to be, I'll be addicted to that guitar again. But I find myself, this is my, it's funny, it's a headless guitar, right? And it's like the case for it's comically small. That's like a tennis racket case. But this is my main guitar, 100%. This is like the one for me. 24 frets, 25.5-inch scale with a floating trim. Because even if I just use like I can still this thing floats so well that I can still get my warble without using the trim arm. I'm not a big trim arm guy. I like getting like I like using my arm for it, my hand for it. That's kind of my thing. So I'm not much for trim arm guy. So this is it. But also the bird's eye maple on it. It's roasted bird's eye maple and roasted maple in the back. And this neck is just insane, man. Incredible. It's like one of those things that makes you want to play guitar. But it also does these crazy good splits. Like it's got that nice. Got a nice spanky tone there, and same thing with the bridge pickup combination with the middle. It's got a nice quacky tone. It's really good for practicing your alternate picking, for sure. Nice stuff. So it's funny that you see me playing this again now. I'm addicted to the neck of it. I can't help myself. All right, so I guess nobody's gonna pop in. That's okay. I'm gonna be on for like another 10 minutes or so. So if you're watching this back, I appreciate you. Please leave a comment and let me know what else to cover next time. The comment last time was talking about two-way pick slanting and talking about alternate picking. So let's talk a little bit more about that. I want to give you guys a couple licks here that will really help kind of break over that boundary. Like I remember distinctly. Like just metronoming. I was doing two things. I was doing string skips and alternate picking at the same time. And I was doing Pocket Bell's Canon. I think actually I was doing like a something like that. And metronoming that and trying to get that, because that's a lot of hammer-ons and pull-offs and movement, at the same time as metronoming. I think I was doing probably like a or something along those lines, maybe the same thing back down, or whatever, something like that. But I remember the thing that kind of got me over the edge was doing a lot of and trying to think to myself. I watched a Steve Morse video, and he talked about doing. I can't remember what lick it was he was playing. whatever that, I can't remember the song, but I remember he was showing this lick, and he said to himself, like he played a little bit sloppy. He's like, there's the problem right there. And he said that's what we want to do. We want to find the problem and then focus on the problem. Get that feeling good first. And for me, doing, trying to follow Paul Gilbert's instruction, he would show off, Yeah, that was the lick he would show off. And where my problem was changing the string, right? So what I would do is I would sit there and I'd do this as much as possible. I try to really make sure my fingers, I was picking those up, right? Up, down, up, down, up, down, doing outside picking here. That's the big deal. And making sure it doesn't sound like this, right? Or like this. Trying to really make sure everything's synced up. All right, and then maybe we can move it a little bit, or maybe, or maybe we don't. Maybe, but as long as we're focusing, that transition, that string transition, will feel much nicer. And so a big thing for me was sitting there and just trying to get that nice and quick and clean. And another thing, this isn't something that I did myself, but I think that this would have definitely helped me out quite a bit, and that's double or even triple picking. I think 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, and then 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. Yeah, if you triple pick a 3-note per string, and what I mean by triple pick is we pick every note 3 times, right? I think that it was, I can't remember who said it, who I was watching that had this idea, but that's going to really help you get the feeling of alternate picking, right? And then it's going to make you focus on the string transitions, but not really in the way that you normally would doing it 1 note per string, which makes that very quick and difficult. This time you're already going quickly, and the new string's going to be an upstroke, right? Because we went down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Then it's up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, and then new string on a downstroke here. So I would say, focus on the string, the different strings, the different picks you're gonna be starting on. So down, up, down, up, down, up. I'm feeling upstroke here, downstroke here, up, down, up. It's hard to do in talk. Sorry. Yeah, so that's another really cool way to kind of get the feeling of alternate picking, and also getting the benefit of doing your string changes like you're supposed to be. Right, so this one's down up, which for a downward pick slanter is difficult. Upward pick slanter, it's not too bad. But this, maybe we just go to there a few times. Until that starts getting comfortable, and then maybe we do the next one, which starts with a nut. Right? And we try to do all these individually, right? And so I'm just doing, the first one I did, I know the new string's going to be an upstroke, which means the first pick I'm going to do starts with a downstroke. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, right? So Jimmy, this is a really good tip, buddy, for alternate picking. I was just going over here talking about triple picking each note and breaking it down, realizing that every string change we do is going to alternate, right? Just like in normal, if we do normal 3-note per string stuff, the new string's an upstroke there, but there it's a downstroke. And a lot of times, a lot of times it's difficult to get the feeling of alternate picking in your right hand, so what we do is we triple pick every note. Don't start with doing the whole thing first. The very first thing we do is we go 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 up, right? And we practice that a few times and get that down. Right? And once that starts feeling comfortable, we do the next string, which starts with an upstroke, right? Which means that the new string is going to be a downstroke. Up, down, up, up, down, or sorry, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Oops. Right? that will give you the feeling of alternate picking in your right hand, and also work on the toughest part of playing these scales or doing any kind of alternate picking, and that's the transition between the strings. So give that a try and break it into these two sections. You can do a descending too, right? Which this is the toughest part to do it for sure. Try to get that upstroke following those notes. That's really difficult to do. And the same thing here, starting with a downstroke, we're going to get starting with the upstroke, we're going to get a downstroke here. Yeah, anyways, really good practice, so we can make the transitions feel nice in our fingers. Yeah, okay. Then we can also talk about, what was the other thing I was going to go over? There was something else I was going to add to this. So another thing, so I still to this day struggle with playing and focusing on that upstroke. So another good thing to do is to try to make yourself, actually I should first say, we should make ourselves play the other thing in context too, not the double picking, but maybe the Paul Gilbert. That lick, the success that I had was because I immediately went and put and got a song and put it in context, and had a place where I was trying that lick over and over again, and I wasn't just sitting there with a metronome, I was sitting there with a whole song, trying to make this lick and all the rest of the licks for that matter fit in there perfectly, which I think really helped push me over the edge. And the song was Curse of Castle Dragon. Right? And I start now, I think Paul Gilbert probably starts with a downstroke because he's trying new things. Right? So he's doing that as a practice thing for himself, but I started with an upstroke. So it felt just like that. It felt like the same lick to me, right? And so this way I was forcing myself to play that lick in time, in a situation that it was required, which I think really helped push over the edge. So that's an important thing. Guitar Pro is excellent for stuff like this because you can go and take a song and then you can put it on like 50%, right? Put like a section on 50% speed, and then sit there and try that section over and over again until you really get the feeling for it, right? And then put it on 60, and then put it on 70, and then maybe you're at 90. You're just trying to get right over that edge. But 90 sounds pretty close to this. Which I would say pushing to the next level of that's much easier than trying to push from 50 all the way up. You know what I mean? But yeah, so think about that, about putting it in context, right? That's a very important thing. But the next thing I was going to show you before I got a little sidetracked there was taking something simple like A minor and moving it up through two positions. This is another Paul Gilbert thing, and the reason why I'm focusing on Paul Gilbert things is because I think that his technique for alternate picking is the best, right? There's some things that I do differently. He is really comfortable doing upward pick slanting, catching new strings on upstrokes. I'm really a downward pick slanter. I say catching new strings on upstrokes while you are descending. That's a big difference than catching new strings on upstrokes while you're ascending. While you're descending, you have to do a upward pick slant, right? So, right, catching the new string on an upstroke while you're ascending is opposite. It's downward pick slant. And so this is something that I didn't know for the longest time. I really just thought every single thing that Paul Gilbert did was outside picked. Outside picked, outside picked. Outside picking is everything. So I'd start everything with an upstroke. When I was descending, I should say. So if I did like that's much easier to me than starting with a downstroke. That for me, I really gotta kind of stick my tongue out a little bit and really try to focus on catching every new string on an upstroke. It's very difficult. And so what I would say to do is he showed off doing like very small parts of scales and kind of combining them to make yourself get used to all the ways that you're going to be picking. So I would say take A minor and work it up to E right there, and then we're going to shift to F and come back down to B. I think that's a good way to practice the picking, right? Because if we here we're down, up, down, up, down, up, down, right? Sorry. Maybe I'll do it like this. But this lick is making you do everything you need to do ascending wise. Here we have to start with a downstroke. So it's making you do everything you need to do with an upward pick slant while you're descending. And I've always associated upward pick slanting with descending. That's something I don't see a lot. A lot of the times you're doing a quick upstroke with your downward pick slanting back into the downstroke, like for ascending stuff. It's always the descending stuff in between that seems like you have to come back and upward pick slant. And so really try to keep that in mind while we're doing this. So we're going to go up while we're downward pick slanting. Don't get me wrong, we're going to catch one string on a downstroke and we're going to have to upward pick slant slightly to get back to our downward pick slanting like this. Right? There I am kind of slightly upward pick slanted, but I'm gonna try to get to my downward pick slant as quick as possible, right? The reason I'm saying it like this is because the upstroke still is downward pick slanted, right? I might come through it a little bit like this, but I'm not going like this. I'm upward pick slanting and getting right back to my downward pick slant immediately like that. It's like a pick like that, right? And so that feels very comfortable because there's only one little moment there that I have to kind of go between the strings in a weird way. Everything else feels nice and I can keep it downward pick slanting. Right? Here, it's immediately the opposite. And then again is the opposite. So I have a very comfortable lick and a very uncomfortable lick for a downward pick slanter, right? So the key is to focus on downward pick slanting when you're ascending, and then upward pick slanting when you're descending. See how I've changed my hand, right? Downward pick slanting for ascending. See, I did it really slowly there, so you can see me roll back up, and I'm gonna come back through, and I'm gonna roll back up this way. Sometimes you'll see my thumb move like this. I am not. I had somebody ask me about that. I'm not consciously thinking about that. I really don't know why I do this, to be honest with you. My hands had personal feeling. They would be really mad. Well, to be honest with you, these things are extremely frustrating until they aren't. And that moment comes relatively quickly when you put the time in, which is really nice. And so, if you sit there and you just let yourself hate yourself for just a little bit, man, the light, I swear, there's a really nice light at the end of the tunnel. So take this lick, try this out. Right? Take that lick and try it out. Maybe you can speed it up a little bit more than that, but don't at first, right? The reason why I say that too is a really good analogy that Paul Gilbert said one time was if your left hand is the steering wheel and your right hand is the gas pedal, but you don't know how to drive and you can't steer, you probably shouldn't push the gas, right? And that's kind of, these things need to be synced up together. So nice and slow. Yeah, Jimmy, it's a Paul Gilbert lick, but that's what I was talking about, to really focus on. This is something he goes over very explicitly about how there's problems with switching in between the strings. But as a layman myself, learning these things when I was younger, I always thought we had to start descending licks on an upstroke, so we could keep the outside picking. And for me, outside picking was downward pick slanting like this, right? Because that allowed me up, down, up, down. That allowed me to keep my downward pick slant and go between the strings like this instead of between the strings like this. which is an upward pick slant, right? That's a big difference there. So utilizing this lick, not so much in the way to get comfortable with just, straight, hey, this is alternate picking, you're going to do this on every string. What you should think of is trying to downward pick slant like this. Remember, downward pick slant is this way, and upward pick slant is this way. Don't focus on my hand, focus on the pick. Downward pick slanting on your ascending part, and then when we do the descending part, right there, I'm already trying to, these notes, I'm gradually moving my hand to the upward pick slant so I can then catch that new string on the upstroke, right? And then I have to keep it that way throughout the rest of the lick. Right? Instead of my downward pick slant, which, sorry. Yeah, okay. This is a pretty good one. I might play a couple more licks here for a minute or two, but that's pretty much all I wanted to cover. That's a really good lick. Paul Gilbert also shows that you can do more positions if you wanted to. Yeah, tough. So if it's hard for your right hand right now, what I would say is to go back to my previous video and really practice that legato thing. I saw somebody do this actually better than me, and it really humbled me, to be honest with you, because I think it's a much better idea. He had a really cool pattern to even get your stretch positions as well, but we'll leave this basic for now. I might add to it later. But for right now, I would say it's very important to be able to play all these things without a pick at all, right? I know my title says alternate picking, but before we do anything with our alternate picking hand, or with our picking hand, we have to really make sure that our left hand is carrying the weight it should be. And a great way to do this is to play this lick right here, okay? We start, right? I'm not picking a single note. All I'm doing is holding the other strings aside from the E string so they don't ring out. Right? And now you see that I've kind of come to the point where I've kind of anchored myself here. You just saw my thumb come up, right? It's very important that you realize I'm really anchoring myself on my first finger here, right? On this first knuckle, I should say, right? And turning my first finger really sideways, making the hand move away from this anchor here to where it's going to be picking, because that creates a very minimum movement there, right? I'm going down, under, and then around. Like that, right? The lick itself focuses on the most difficult part of your fretting hand, which is using your ring finger and your pinky together, right? And so this lick itself right here makes me feel like somebody's slowly poking me in the eyes. It's so annoying, but it's a really good exercise. But instead of focusing on just this, I think a much more usable lick would be this one. Right? No picking going on there. My hand is being strong, and I'm trying to slam the notes on that I'm playing, right? Now my pull-offs also, I'm really anchored here, so any pull-off I do, even if I really try to pull it off the fretboard there, it's not going to pull very far because I'm anchored here pretty tough. So you can really lean into that squeeze there based off of that fact. So we're gonna take this and try to get a nice roll. 1, 2, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can end it any way you want to, but just using this left hand, and I know that sounds like it's crazy, but man, I'm telling you, if you give we'll say 15 minutes straight a day for a month, well, maybe not every day, maybe take a day off per week, but you do it for a month, like I'm talking, sit at the end of your bed and really trying to develop this feel. At minimum, you're going to get this little trigger thing happening in your hand where you have this kind of this tension that you can develop there, and that's really the key, right? Because if we can't do something like that, then doing doing a picking thing doesn't matter, right? I should still be able to do the fingerings. Right? Maybe it's tough not picking it, right? Right? It's tough not. It doesn't sound very good without a fret wrap or something. But doing it without picking it, that should be a possibility for you before you start picking it. So I would say practice this lick or something along those lines where we're really trying to get that that muscle memory and those muscles built up in the hand first. Maybe we do every lick first just by picking one. While I know that's not exactly the desired sound, right, we're really using it as a stepping stone to get ourselves to the, you know, the picking version of that. Maybe that's a good one you go to. Is there any timing exercise? I searched on YouTube, but I just found... When you say timing exercise, do you mean something to help with your timing? Because I think that if we're going to do anything, any of these licks, if you set it to a metronome at a relatively slow speed, until you're kind of like, oh, I'm annoyed by this. This is too easy. I can do this all day really slowly. You know, I think that that's... the important thing is to get yourself to that point first where you're like, I'm bored with this, and then I turn it up a little bit, right? I increase it by, you know, 5 or 10 BPM. But doing, I think for myself, it was doing a little bit more advanced stuff. Like I was doing Pachelbel's Canon, and I started with that lick right there. So we did Pachelbel's Canon, which I always like coming back to. We're just focusing on these dyads, these 1, 3, 5 dyads. 1 major 3, 5, right? And then 1 minor 3, 5. And the major A again, right? In my mind on improv, my timing is good, but improv is fast is a pain. So yeah, Canon. So this is a good one to do that with, right? Because you're making yourself do like triplet patterns. And triplet patterns for me are what unlocked that whole like... Right, so you could follow a rhythm there as I was playing, right? A big reason for that are string skips and doing something that's called the jam with no notes. And this is another Paul Gilbert thing. Paul Gilbert's the man, dude. He's definitely the reason that I'm in love with guitar. Because he comes up with such cool ideas like this, where you take, he calls it a jam with no notes. So you're doing pretty much a kick and a snare, all right? And we're gonna do this exercise where we go, right? And that's all we're gonna do. And we try to fill in a bar with any line you want to, right? But it's important that that line continues to maintain whatever pulse you have going. In this case, so you can switch it up too, but as long as you're evoking this sort of groove, and you can do this with yourself, right? If you find yourself falling off, like if you find yourself trying to do too much, right? At the end there, I like really try to get a lot of notes in there quickly to get back into it, and it kind of fell off. We're gonna restart, start our groove up again. You know, and try to lock in that feeling, because overall you want to evoke that that groove more than anything else. And of course backing tracks really help with this too. I would say when you find yourself in a rut of being, you know, an improvisation rut, it's important for you to kind of go back to basics and just try to think about maybe getting a whole solo with one note, right? Or maybe just in the pentatonic box, maybe 1 or 2 notes out of it. Right? You know, and try to have these things be more directed around rhythm than anything else. That's my advice. And then again, string skips are huge. String skips for me, like building different patterns with different string skips just like that, really helped me kind of lock into and I could utilize that in my own playing, even if it was like a, I could have like a, I could have that like feeling in my normal improvisation after I did this. So I would say take Pachelbel's Canon, I don't know, but TL have that mastered. But I'll have that mastered. You just try. I'm telling you, it takes a lot of time, right? And the most important thing is to not get discouraged and to try to really spend the time it takes. You know what I mean? Like, it might take more time than you're expecting it to, but really try to lock into what you're hearing and what you're feeling. That's the important thing. But let me show you this quick, and I gotta get out of here. So pocket bells canon, right? We're simply thinking about these different positions here. As major and minor. So we have major on both D and A, minor on B and F sharp, right? G major back to D major, G major to A major, right? And we're gonna do right? Simple pattern, right? But the important thing is to lock into lock into the groove, right? And then maybe it'll build to the other strings, right? We can maybe throw just the one note in up here, the root again. Maybe we'll go. Or we have to come back up. So this is what you'll do, right? You'll work a pattern out. Maybe we'll just go right back up. Oops. And maybe we can build from there, right? We'll do like a right. We can throw other notes in that belong here, as long as we're trying to keep that same flow, or like a. Messed it up, but yeah, I think you get the idea, right? Trying to lock yourself into like a or something like that, or like a whatever your little pattern is going to be. It's important that it's not just right. It needs to kind of have like a flow to it. It needs to fit the song it's serving. So okay, let me go. 36 minutes is pretty good, I think. If anybody has any questions or anything, pretty please leave a like JP's happy song. I'm not sure what that is. To be honest with you, JP, is that John Petrucci? I'm not sure. Sorry, man. I'm a little bit lame. But so please do me a favor and leave any comments of any questions or anything I'm going to go over further. I don't know if I can be of further assistance on anything, but if I can, please allow me to do so, and I'll cover it next week in the stream that we do. But it's the Johnny. Oh, right on. Oh, the Johnny Petrucci. Okay, yeah, right on. I'll have to check it out. I don't know about that. I covered one of his. I didn't cover it. I kind of changed up his. No, I suck. I can't do it right now. I'll do it later. But I kind of turned one of his licks into Final Fantasy. But yeah, okay. Everybody have a good day. I'll see you guys next time.